Welcome in to another PFF NFL show. Max Chadwick alongside Dalton Wasserman here. And Dalton, we made it. Super Bowl 59 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Going to do our full preview of the Super Bowl here and give our predictions at the very end of the video as well. Dalton, we've been doing previews all year for college football. I thought we were done with it now. But now, producers back there put us on for the biggest game of the year in the Super Bowl. Getting called up for the Super Bowl right now. I'm excited to break it all down with you.
The long and winding road of an NFL season brought us here, and I'll tell you, I mean, we could see something historical when it comes to the Chiefs pulling off a three-peat. We could see the Eagles getting their revenge from 2 years ago in a game that they probably feel they should have won. It's going to be a hell of a game.
I cannot wait. So we've been a little rusty, maybe because we're a month removed from our national championship game preview, but
not even. I think it wasn't that long ago. I think it was only like 2-3 weeks ago. It really wasn't that long.
Yeah, I guess so.
The
extended college football season maybe helped us out, prepare for this one. Of course, we're going to break down a lot of PFF stats for you guys today, and all of them are available to you with a PFF Plus subscription, so you can get it at subscribe.pff.com. All the best betting tools on the planet. I know the biggest betting day of the year is the Super Bowl, and we have you covered with all of the best prop bets to place for Super Bowl 59. Of course, the NFL Mock Draft Simulator is available to you guys as well. You can draft a full 7 rounds for your favorite team, or every team in the NFL if you want to do it, and trade players and picks, like if you want to trade Cooper Kupp, if you want to trade Myles Garrett. It's available to do so with the PFF Mock Draft Simulator as well. And we're going to talk about one of the sponsors of our show, and that is Fabric by Gerber Life. What does your child's future success look like to you? A job they're passionate about, traveling around the world, or just being happy and comfortable? Whatever their journey, you can help make it easier to achieve with a kid's investment account from Fabric Gerber Life. By making a contribution to your child's future today, you can help give them the means to pursue their dreams, big and small. Fabric Gerber Life is designed by parents for parents to make it easy to plan for and manage your family's financial path. With a kid's investment account from Fabric, you can start investing in your child's future today. Kids can't invest when they're minors, but a kid's investment account allows you to invest on their behalf now, giving their investments more time to grow. It's all online, and setting up an account could take you just 5 minutes. Then you can manage your child's account and monitor their investments right from your phone. Funds can be used for nearly anything benefiting your child, from tuition and tutors to music classes. And when they're adults and out on their own, you can use the funds for anything that they need. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Start investing in your child today at meetfabric.com/PFFNFL. That's meetfabric.com/PFFNFL. meetfabric.com/PFFNFL. Portfolios managed by Fort Washington Investment Advisors Incorporated. Additional services provided by A-Plus Clearing Corporation. All investing is subject to risk. Learn more at meetfabric.com. All right, Dawn, previewing the Super Bowl now. Let's start off with the matchup that matters. So the Chiefs going for their first three-peat in Super Bowl history, their 4th title in 6 years if they can win it, and their 5th overall. Eagles seeking revenge on the Chiefs for the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and the Eagles are looking for their first title since 2017 and also their 2nd title overall. For you, what is the matchup that really could decide this game?
So on the Chiefs side, their offensive line has been a big story really all season, right? When you talk about the struggles of their offensive tackles early in the season, and now starting in Week 15, they moved their left guard, Joe Thuney, out to left tackle to kind of solve that problem. Right now, got a backup left guard playing Mike Caliendo, who's been struggling in pass protection, and it's really caused a problem on the interior across the board, right? Through Week 14, when Thuney was still playing guard, the Chiefs were first in the league in interior pass blocking grade. Since Thuney moved out to tackle and Caliendo's been in the starting lineup, they've been 19th. So what you're seeing is for what they're getting in production at the tackle spot from Thuney, they're sacrificing on the interior. Now they still have obviously Creed Humphrey, who's maybe the best center in football. They still have Trey Smith, who's one of the better guards in football, but it just hasn't been quite as synced up on the inside. And this is a particular problem against Philadelphia, who has the best interior pass rush in football, all right? Their defensive tackles, first in overall grade, first in pass rush grade, first in pass rush win rate, second in pressure percentage behind the Denver Broncos. Jalen Carter's an elite player. Milton Williams has really emerged this season. He's going to make a ton of money in free agency. Moro Ajomo, the second-year player out of Texas, has been really good. Jordan Davis, also a 71 pass rush grade. This is the best group of pass rushing defensive tackles in the league by far. Now you're looking at where I'm at with this when I was digging into this on the Chiefs side. I think every single snap I'm going to be looking at Creed Humphrey. And which way can he help? Who's he going to help? Is it going to be against Jalen Carter, who's going to be lined up against Trey Smith more often than not? Is it going to be helping Mike Caliendo, who's had serious issues in pass protection since he's been in the starting lineup? And are there ways that the Eagles can kind of manipulate that? They don't do a whole lot of tricks up front, okay? They don't blitz a whole lot. They don't stun a whole lot. They send 4, they drop 7 into coverage, and they pretty much just say, listen, we're better up front than you are, especially on the inside. Now, when you watch what, say, the Texans did to the Chiefs in both of their games, messed around with some defensive line alignments that forces Humphrey to slide one way or the other the way that they want him to go. Then they can have maybe, say, Milton Williams, if it's the Eagles, Milton Williams can cross Humphrey's face and get one-on-one with Caliendo and things like that. It's going to be about up front, whether it be through alignment or maybe they stunt a little more than usual, finding one-on-one matchups away from where Creed Humphrey is sliding. So Carter and Williams, who they win most of their one-on-one matchups, they can succeed and push the pocket from the inside and flush Mahomes and make him, if he's going to hold the football, make him flush from the pocket and improvise, which usually, obviously, Mahomes is the best improviser on the planet. We know this, but anytime you get consistent pressure on a quarterback, even if it's Patrick Mahomes, it's a problem, especially from the interior when he can't step up in the pocket. So I'm looking at Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, and those guys on the inside. If the Eagles are going to win, they need to be able to dominate what's really now a makeshift interior offensive line for the Chiefs.
Absolutely, and you're right about that, because you look at what the Chiefs have done this year, and Patrick Mahomes, has held on the ball for a little bit longer, with Marquise Brown back, and I'll talk about that in a little bit later, but they've had some issues, protecting Mahomes this year. I think he's been sacked 30 times for the first time in his career in a regular season, so they've had some problems with that. And on 3+ seconds, Dalton, Kansas City is 10th in EPA per play. They were the best team in the league from 2018 through 2023 on 3+ second throws. So it's really kind of dried up this year. So, yeah, if you make Mahomes hold on to the football, it's more above average rather than being spectacular as it's been in years past. And I hate to say it's kind of the same matchup for me on the other side of the ball, but it really is. It's the Eagles' offensive line against the Chiefs' offensive line. Specifically, can the Chiefs stop the run, right? Because the Eagles, that's what they want to do. They're the only team in the NFL that runs the ball more than it throws the ball. Only team in the league that does that, because the Eagles are 3rd in EPA per run, 3rd in yards per carry, 2nd in yards before contact per attempt. They average 2 yards before contact per attempt. They're 4th in run blocking grade. Including the playoffs, Saquon Barkley has 2,447 rushing yards and 18 rushing touchdowns. He leads the league with 1,409 yards after contact. 77 forced missed tackles are 3rd in the NFL. Their most common run concept is inside zone. They run it about 30% of the time, which is 4th in the NFL. Barkley has 783 rushing yards on inside zone this year. That's nearly 400 more than any other player in the NFL. 494 yards after contact is almost 100 more than any other player as well. Inside zone, the difference between that and outside zone is more downhill. Running backs kind of look to hit the hole between the tackles rather than outside zone and try to bounce it outside the tackles. And then running backs, instead of reading the defensive ends, they read the defensive tackles and inside zone. And there are multiple holes, obviously, they can hit on a zone run. The Chiefs' run D has been pretty good this year, right? They're 10th in run defense grade, 9th in yards per attempt allowed, 4th in yards after contact per attempt allowed. But against inside zone, they've been a little vulnerable. They're 20th in yards per attempt allowed. They allowed 4.3 yards per carry against inside zone, which again is easily the Eagles' most common run concept this year. If you could slow down Saquon Barkley, and you can, win against what is an elite offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles, you can put Jalen Hurts in unfavorable situations. He has the 26th best passing grade in the NFL, and on obvious passing downs, meaning 3rd or 4th down with 4 more yards to go, he's 32nd in passing grade, 60.3. Without play action, he's 26th in passing grade. And when he's under pressure, again, another matchup to watch out for this Chiefs D-line against the Eagles O-line. When he's under pressure, he has the 3rd worst passing grade in the NFL. When it's kept clean, the 8th best passing grade in the NFL. So I hate to say it's all about the trenches on both sides, but it really is all about the trenches in this game. One, got to win up front, slow down Saquon Barkley because he has been absolutely on fire in this game. And number two, in obvious passing downs, put Jalen Hurts under pressure because if you do that, the Chiefs have a good chance to win this game, but it's easier said than done because the Eagles' offensive line and Saquon Barkley, they've been that freaking dominant all year. One specific matchup I'm looking out for, Chris Jones against what's been kind of a banged-up Eagles interior, especially at the center position recently. That could be a huge matchup in this game. So, again, I hate to do kind of the same matchup on both sides of the ball, but I think this Super Bowl really comes down to the trenches.
No, it does, and a lot of big games do, and I think there's so many layers to everything you just said. Starting with Saquon Barkley, look, the Eagles, every year they can run the football because they have a great offensive line, right? And even in the past when it was, DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell and whoever, for years and years, Howie Roseman's built through the trenches. They've been able to run the football. The difference with Saquon Barkley is he leads the league in explosive runs. 10-plus yard runs, 20-plus yard runs, 60-plus yard runs. He's a home run hitter, right? And I think that's the difference in what the Eagles didn't have. Even last season when they could still run the ball really well because their blocking was great, but somebody like DeAndre Swift was not the home run hitter that Saquon Barkley is. As the season's gone on, and especially after they started 2-2, they leaned into that. They just said, wow, this guy, okay, he's our best player. He came in from the Giants, and he's proven to us how good he is. And since week 6, after their bye week, started 2-2, had a bye week in week 5, 53.5% run rate. No other team is over 50. So they have now built this offense around Saquon Barkley and his explosiveness. And then it speaks to what you're saying in the passing game is, I know he did it 2 years ago, and in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs first time around, Hurts probably played the best game of his entire life, right?
Yep.
But you don't want to ask him to carry you against this defense, against Steve Spagnuolo, a defense that's improved since that time 2 years ago. The Eagles have the highest graded defense in football. The Chiefs are second, and we know how many exotic looks Spagnuolo can give. To your point about Hurts being under pressure, I think it all just adds up to as much as they can prevent Hurts from having to carry them this time. For as much as we saw him be great 2 years ago and darn near beat the Chiefs the first time around, he's really been the weak spot. And I think his performance here is going to be the biggest determinant in whether or not Philadelphia can win. And honestly, that comes with, look, if Saquon runs for 200 yards and Jalen Hurts throws the ball 22 times and they really get ahead and get the formula they've had for most of the season, they can absolutely win this game, and under that formula, probably should win this game, right? And I know it's Mahomes and Reed and all of that, but if they can control the clock and Barkley's their best player, then fine. The more that they ask Jalen Hurts to carry him, you mentioned 3rd and long, the more it's going to be a problem for the Eagles. So their entire offense really needs to be in sync. They need to be able to stick to that run plan 55% of the time and be efficient with it. If not, and they get in those 3rd and long situations, they could have a real problem because on top of a great offensive line and actually really good pass protection, Hurts has the longest average time to throw in the league, too.
Yeah.
So he holds the ball too long, and some of these problems he creates for himself, he needs to get rid of the ball quicker, too.
Jalen Hurts, I will say, it's been not a great year for Jalen Hurts, but he had a 91.4 PFF grade against the Washington Commanders in that NFC title game, and 91.6 passing grade. Easily his best of the season. Easily his best of the last 2 years, Dalton, as well. And the last time he had a higher grade than that was the Super Bowl against the Chiefs a couple years ago. He had a 92.2 grade against the Chiefs with a 92.9 passing grade. He was phenomenal in that Chiefs Super Bowl. And I don't know if he have to be that good again because I don't think they had a running back like Saquon Barkley in that game, right? They could have a superstar like that they could rely on this one. It doesn't have to be that good. You probably doesn't have to put up a 90-plus grade to win this game, but if you could put up a, 75, 80, something like that, I think that could be good enough with how good, I've said it time and time again, this Eagles team is the best team in the NFL, top to bottom. This roster is the best roster in football. They got probably the best defense in football, maybe the best offensive line in football, arguably the best receiving core in football, or one of the best receiving cores in football. Saquon Barkley, you could argue, is the best running back in football. Everything, top to bottom, is the best. The one question is, can Jalen Hurts just be good enough to get them there? And I think he could be in this game. We'll get to our predictions in just a second. And, of course, we'll get to our biggest X factor in the game that could decide it as well. But before we do that, because I got to talk about our other sponsor of the show, that is Cherry Bundy, the performance drink fueling the Healthlete revolution. It's got natural products and ingredients with no added sugar. Tart cherries are the highest antioxidant fruit or vegetable in the world. It's a natural anti-inflammatory with incredible benefits like reduced soreness, increased recovery, and it contains naturally occurring melatonin to help improve your sleep, and it helps support your immunity as well. Used by nearly 500 collegiate and professional sports teams, every NFL team uses Cherry Bunny as a part of their daily regimen. 10 of the last 11 Super Bowl champions, and on Monday, it'll be 11 of the last 12 because both the Chiefs and the Eagles use Cherry Bundy. Every team playing in Europe or Brazil this year has had Cherry Bundy with them, all but one Power 4 conference football team, and every college football and basketball national champion since 2007 has used Cherry Bundy as well. Their products are available on Amazon, cherrybundy.com, and at retailers nationwide, including Publix and Kroger. And if you want to get 20% off your order, use code PFF20 for 20% off of all orders at cherrybundy.com. Again, PFF20 for 20% off at cherrybundy.com. All right, Dalton, who is the plus factor, the X factor in this game? Don't tell me Patrick Mahomes. Don't tell me Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley. Who's an underrated player in this game that you think will play a massive role in determining who wins or loses?
So the first factor in why the Eagles have skyrocketed into this spot is Saquon Barkley and the expansion of the run game. The second one is their secondary and how much better they are defending in the slot. So I'm looking at Cooper DeJean, the rookie out of Iowa. He is the 5th highest graded primary slot corner in the league this year. He look, we said it at the time, an absolute steal getting him in the second round. We still to this day have no idea how he dropped to the second round, but you look at the production he's given them, 81.5 overall, 91.6 run defense grade, and that's so important when you're trying to keep that nickel on the field for the entire game and every snap. But if they can't defend the run, then they can't be out there every snap. DeJean is out there every single snap, productive in the run game, productive in coverage. And last year, this was the biggest difference. 2 years ago, the Eagles got exposed in the Super Bowl for the slot coverage. Patrick Mahomes went 7 for 7 with 2 touchdowns targeting slot defenders, okay? This year, against the Chiefs, opponent slot defenders have a 45.2 coverage grade, the second lowest in the NFL. The only team that holds them to worse is the Lions. So you're talking about Andy Reid knowing constantly how to attack slot defenders, how to get them, if they're in zone coverage, how to high-low them, if they're in man coverage, how to get them working across the field and pick them and do all the things the Chiefs can do schematically that, usually when you're trying to win one-on-one, you have to have just the better receiver. You have a Justin Jefferson or someone like that. And there's nobody better than Andy Reid finding ways to target specific guys. So I wonder, is he going to target DeJean because he's a rookie and really put him to the test? Or is he going to look at him like, okay, that's not a normal rookie, I have to go somewhere else? On top of the fact that the Chiefs still want to run the ball as well, right? They want to have some balance to their offense, gaining first downs. Again, their offense all year has just been get a first down by any means necessary. It's not an explosive offense. It's ugly. It's not aesthetically pleasing, but it works for them. And they run a high amount of screens. There's just so much that Cooper DeJean is going to be right in the middle of in this game. And he really has been all year for the Eagles. But that's the difference in their defense, I think, along with Zach Bond coming in at linebacker. And I know Quinyon Mitchell's been great on the outside. Is last year they were dead last in slot coverage grade. This year as a team, they're third, and that's because of DeJean. And I'm curious to see if Andy Reid will really attack him or if he'll go elsewhere with his offense.
And one guy who plays a little bit in the slot, so he could be facing Cooper DeJean, but mostly plays on the outside for the Chiefs and just came back from injury. I think it could be a big role, is Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, in this game, because you mentioned it before in your breakdown, Patrick Mahomes is going to get rid of the ball quickly in this game against what is an elite Eagles pass rush. The Eagles are second in pass rushing grade this year, only behind the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you mentioned before, offensive tackle has been a major issue for the Chiefs this year. Jawan Taylor's had a down year, basically a rotating door at left tackle as well. I mentioned before, Patrick Mahomes was sacked 30 times in the regular season. That was the first time in his career he was sacked 30 times. When Marquise Brown was out with an injury, Patrick Mahomes, his average time to throw was 2.82 seconds. That was 16th fastest in the NFL. Since week 16, when Marquise Brown came back, his average time to throw is now 2.65 seconds. That's the sixth fastest in the NFL, almost 0.2 seconds faster than what he was doing without Marquise Brown. We got Joe Thuney playing left tackle. You mentioned before, Mike Caliendo is really struggling at left guard. You need to minimize the time that Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Josh Sweat have to get after Patrick Mahomes. And we saw before, like in that Buccaneers Super Bowl, right, when Patrick Mahomes was under pressure the entire game, they lost the game because of it. They didn't even score a single offensive touchdown in that game because of it. Minimize the time that what is a banged-up Chiefs offensive line and has struggled a lot at times this year against one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. You need to minimize the time as much as possible. For a guy like Marquise Brown that wins so much underneath, that's going to be huge in this game. So I think Hollywood Brown could play a bigger role than people expect. Just getting open quickly, letting Patrick Mahomes get the ball out quickly. It's going to be huge because, like I said, you just got to get rid of the football quickly, because if you don't, the Eagles' pass rush could really thrive in this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been a theme ever since they traded Tyreek Hill, is that this more conservative nature of Patrick Mahomes and their offense, they found a way to succeed with that, right? It's more screens. This year they run the 8th highest rate of screens in the NFL. It's yards after catch. It's just getting to the chains by any means necessary. I think Brown plays a big part in that. I think even one-on-one, DeAndre Hopkins will play a big part in that. Xavier Worthy's really emerged down the stretch here and even in the playoffs, not because he's suddenly become the deep threat with all the speed that everyone's expected him to be, but because they've been running things just to get the ball into his hands and let him work after the catch. You're not going to get over the top on this Eagles defense. They are by far the best team in the league at preventing deep shots down the field between all the talent they have in the secondary and Vic Fangio running too high a lot. If you're going to bother this Eagles defense, you have to create yards after the catch. If you go back and look at any game they either lost or kind of struggled in coverage this year, it's about yards after catch. So I do think there's an element to it where the Chiefs are going to be comfortable in doing that. Mahomes just has to make all the throws underneath, and Andy Reid making the play calls, again, that isolate a lot of these zone defenders like he did 2 years ago.
I mean, listen, they're comfortable winning underneath. Patrick Mahomes this year, the 3rd lowest average at the target in the NFL. The only 2 quarterbacks on that had a lower average depth of target than Mahomes, who was 6.9 yards, was Tua Tagovailoa and Gardner Minshew. That was it. You think of Patrick Mahomes, I think we were all, accustomed to him just chucking it downfield because of how good he was in the 2019 MVP season and how, amazing his arm talent is, and he can make any throw on the field. He really, over the last few years, or the last couple of years, with so much too high, and how defenses like the Eagles are going to just try to take away the deep ball because they know they can be killed by it, he's become a very conservative quarterback, right? So I think he is comfortable in this game, checking the ball down and just methodically moving the ball downfield instead of just chucking it deep like it was earlier in his career. So, yeah, I think that's why Marquise Brown could play a big factor in this game. All right, Dalton, prediction time. Will the Kansas City Chiefs, for the first time ever, win 3 Super Bowls in a row, or will the Philadelphia Eagles get revenge on them for what happened a couple years ago?
Look, the Eagles' highest graded defense in football, right? Saquon Barkley, 2,000-yard season, just doing historic things. You've got the best single coverage receiver in the league in A.J. Brown. You've got rookies emerging, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. You've got the best interior pass rush in all of football. They have a ton of advantages, right? I'm taking the Chiefs 30-27. It's just, I think there are a couple of things that I do like about what the Chiefs have going here. And again, the Eagles, if they get into their rhythm of what they want to do, especially early with the run game, can absolutely win this game. But I look at a couple things. One, I think Steve Spagnuolo has the advantage over Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to pick his spots to pressure and rotate safeties and just do. You know how it is with Spagnuolo in these spots. He's empty in the tank when it comes to the playbook. And I think Barkley could have 100 yards in this game, but if they prevent him from getting to 150, 200, which has so often been the case this year, and 7-8 yards a carry and the big long touchdown runs, if you prevent that and you make Jalen Hurts beat you, I think it's what they did last year against San Francisco. Don't let Christian McCaffrey completely take the game over. Make Brock Purdy beat you and just keep grinding, right? Because all that matters is the final score at the end of the game. I think the conservative nature of their offense really helps them against this Eagles team. I think, again, I mentioned yards after catch. That's going to be a big emphasis for the Chiefs in this game. You don't want to attack these too high zone coverages with maybe the best secondary in football this year. Ball hawking back. You've got Gardner Johnson. You've got Blankenship on the back end. We mentioned Quinyon. Cooper DeJean's been great in the slot. Slay on the other side. It's too good of a defense to take deep shots on, but the Chiefs don't do that anyway. I think they're going to be content to play within their wheelhouse on offense. I think Spagnuolo has the advantage against Jalen Hurts as long as they get to those situations. If Saquon Barkley goes crazy, if he goes for 200 yards, then he'll have carried him to a Super Bowl victory. But it's hard to go against, at least for me, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo. I'm taking the Chiefs.
It is so hard to pick against the Chiefs. It really is. I'm going to do it anyways, though. I'm picking the Eagles 24-23.
Is that the Saquon Barkley Penn State thing?
So maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit there. But I've said it all year. I think the Eagles, top to bottom, have the best roster in football. I think this could be a low-scoring game. Right now, the 2 highest-graded defenses in the NFL, the Eagles and the Chiefs. I think that could be a big part of it. And I think the difference really is the offensive lines. Phillies looks like maybe the best offensive line in the league. Kansas City's kind of patching it together right now. So I think the Eagles rely on that offensive line, rely on their run game with Saquon Barkley, who they didn't have a couple years ago, right? So I think that could be a big difference as well. And their pass rush, I think, has an advantage over the Chiefs' offensive line as well. Squeak out a win. I'm not confident in picking the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm never confident picking against Patrick Mahomes, but I just think this is the best roster in football right now, and I think they'll be good enough to get a win over the Chiefs and deliver the second Lombardi Trophy to the Philadelphia Eagles franchise. So you got the Chiefs winning. I got the Eagles winning. It should be a phenomenal Super Bowl that we have coming up on Sunday. Obviously, last preview of the year, so appreciate you guys all watching the previews that Carmen and Trevor did all season with us. Obviously, a lot more content coming on this channel. We're going to be reacting a lot to the NFL draft stuff. Tomorrow, we're going to be going over a big board and a new mock draft from two of the best draft analysts in the game, from Mel Kiper and Daniel Jeremiah as well. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. And enjoy the Super Bowl this Sunday between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. For our producers back there, for Dalton Wasserman, I'm Max Chadwick, and we'll see you guys next time.